All right, everybody, welcome back as always to the Golf Podcast presented by Golficity. And we're going to chat in a moment about some lessons we learned today doing something that we probably, Mike, had no business doing.
Yeah, it was a long day today.
Playing the tips. I mean, we played like PGA Tour caliber distance, Pete Dye course, huge. I mean, just tremendous shots off the tee. Some of them was just some of the most intimidating shots I think I've ever hit. But it was a lot of fun. It was lessons learned, as always looking to learn stuff. So we'll talk about that in a second. Before we do, though, we got our big announcement. The Golficity Virtual Open is officially in the books for 2019. You've heard us talk about it here week in and week out. It was been our most tremendously successful Golficity Virtual Open since we kicked it off 3 years ago. We've seen it grow year after year, and then this year it just kind of exploded. We had over, I think, 1,300 people in the Golficity Virtual Open. We had over 800 total rounds logged. A lot of fun week in and week out, you know, for the 4 weeks that we did it. A lot of chatter in the Facebook group, which, by the way, guys, if you're not a part of, make sure you join because it's a lot of fun. We just have some great conversations in there. But we had, again, just to me, it was a success in so much as it was just amazing to know that we've got that many people out there just having fun, playing golf in a semi-competitive setting. Some people, it was their first round ever. Some people, it was their first tournament, a lot of firsts. So it was really just a great time. And as we said from the beginning, the prizes are going to be open to anyone. We're going to do, you know, we've already drawn our random door prize winners, which Mike, I'll have you announce in a second. But the good part about it is everybody's eligible. It doesn't matter where you finished. You've got a chance to win these prizes. And I think we're going to continue to do that just because it just makes it a little bit better and keeps everybody kind of honest with the scoring as much as possible. But there's one thing I will say. We're open to suggestions. Always. Whatever it is, you know, I mean, if it's a different format you'd like to see, if you'd like to see us do these types of virtual tournaments more often, I don't care what it is. The suggestion box is open. Let's put it that way. So wherever, you know, if you're watching this on YouTube, if you're watching it on golficity.com or in the Golficity app, post a comment below. Let us know what your suggestions are. And whatever, throw them out there. We'll see what sticks. Let's just, you know, throw some stuff out there and we'll see what we want to do for future ones. Otherwise, if you're listening to this, you can always, you know, drop a message in the Facebook group. You can tweet at us. A million ways to get in touch with us. But we'd love to hear your suggestions for it. So make sure you fire those away. But let's not keep anybody waiting any longer. Mike, you want to run through our winners?
Yeah, let me run through this. So we had a couple of putt-outs, 2 putt-out trainers going, one to Christian Bullard in North Carolina. We got one going to Carter Mumbauer out in Ohio. Congratulations, guys.
Which,
awesome
by the way,
advice.
As you're saying putt-out, it reminded me, the other big thing I forgot to thank is our sponsors.
Of course.
I mean, the prize sponsors are always so cool. When this year we saw we were doing it, a lot of these guys reached out to us and has had stuff to throw our way. And just the fact that they support this is just, you know, something that we don't take lightly. We really do appreciate it. So sorry, Mike, I got jumped in there, but I think it's really important.
No, totally get it. The shot scopes, we gave away 3 of these, Frank, and Tom Purcell is one of the winners from England. Tom already messaged. He saw that he won. He was so excited. It's funny because he said he really wanted a shot scope, but the money wasn't in his wallet for one, and he just won one playing the GVO. So, that's Tom, funny. Congrats.
Which, by the way, you're right. We did announce this on Instagram earlier. That's why some people might know ahead of time. But if you didn't see the Instagram post, this is for you guys.
Yeah, we're covering all you who are not on the Instagram side. So, shot scope V2 to Tom. We have one to Matthew Smith out in Utah, and Stephen. I'm going to make sure I'm getting confused here. I want to make sure. Stephen Wright out in the United Kingdom. Guys, congrats. So once again, Tom Purcell, Matthew Smith, Stephen Wright on the shot scopes. And then, Frank, we gave away the custom Golficity Chippo board. That went to Kevin Fahey. Congrats, Kevin. It's an awesome thing to have. Really cool game. The Nikon rangefinder, Frank, that went out to Jeff Holm, Holm. Jeff's out in Bartlett, Illinois. Here's the big one, one of the big ones, a $500 Swing Caddy SC300 launch monitor, Quentin Hanley. Quentin, congratulations. Quentin's out in Columbus, Ohio. Really cool device. You're going to love it. Congratulations on that one. We've got, what do we got here, Frank? Amp Caddy speaker set. This is going over to Adam Bucci. He's over in Pennsylvania. Adam, congratulations. And then we've got golfballs.com. They were kind enough to donate 5 separate dozens of Pro V1s. So 1 dozen each, 1 going to Ricardo Pelagi, 1 going to Jacob Menken, Sam Radford, Brandon Bryant, and Nick Stanley. Guys, congratulations. And last but not least, Golf Tech. Thanks for the $125 gift card. That is going to Matthew Boren from Eldersburg, Maryland.
Huge congrats to all you guys. Mike, I'm glad you took over the duties of reading off the names. I butcher them. I always butcher them. So we're all you guys, if you just heard your name, we're going to be emailing everyone to finalize all of the details of where to send your prizes, and those are going to be going out. As always, if you didn't win, just stick around. We every chance we get, you guys know we do another giveaway. We're gonna probably do some more on the YouTube channel soon. We're approaching 25,000 subscribers, so we may do something for that. And plus, towards the end of the year, we're just gonna have some fun, quick giveaways. So make sure you guys are following us on all the social channels because we like to do little things here and there. All right, Mike. Other news: the Scotland series. London Links episode 2 is now live. Those are going to be new episodes every Thursday. There's 2 quick ways to make sure you guys don't miss those. Go on YouTube, subscribe to our channel, hit the bell. You'll get a notification the second they drop. Also, if you download the Golficity app, which is 100% free for Android or iOS, the videos go in there too. And then if you turn on your notifications, you're going to get a notification every time a new video drops. So we had so much fun with this one. I think it's a formula for something we want to do more of in the future, more of these trips and different series. The Scotland series, I'd love to do like maybe an Arizona series at one point. Excuse me. Still fighting off this pneumonia. Yeah, man, that thing's hanging on. Anyway, we're gonna try to do more of that. But we had so much fun with that. And there's also some other fun stuff we had recently on the channel. So make sure you guys keep an eye out for that type of stuff. Speaking of which, coming up soon, we just filmed the other day. We did a par 3 challenge. You and I went out to an 18-hole par 3 course.
Learned a lot there.
Yeah, and I love this idea. It's a muni. We played at Rockland Lake in New York. It's a muni, incredibly inexpensive. Just a great way to just focus, 18 holes on your short game.
That's it.
And some of them were very challenging. We had some longer shots, which will lead into what we're going to talk about in a minute when we talk about playing from the tips. So some of those, yeah. I mean, there was a couple. Do you remember? I think the longest par 3 we played that day was 189 yards or something.
Something like that, 180s to 190s. Yep.
Right. So that was a good warm up for what we faced today, which was just epic. I mean, 230-yard par 3s, and it was just insane. But it was a good. Again, we're always doing these as learning experiences, just going out there and forcing ourselves to do this par 3 challenge. And what did we do? Did we do match play there? What did we do?
We did match play there as well.
No, we played skins.
No, you're right. We played skins.
Right. So we always like to have a little fun element to it, but we're out there, we're practicing, and it's a great way to do that. So we've said this before, especially if you kind of get in that, and I'm not downplaying it because golf is a game that is enjoyed in many different ways. And however you enjoy the game, good on you. I mean, I don't care. Everybody's different. Have fun. Have at it. Some people, though, like to play the same course every time they go out. That's fine if that's what you like. But what I'm saying is every once in a while, I think it's good to just break out of your comfort zone and just try something different. Mm-hmm. So that's what we did here. We had a day, instead of going and playing a usual 18, we booked 18 at a par 3 course just to mix it up, try something new, test our game in a new way. And then today, going out, playing the tips, trying something new, doing something different. So we're going to really break into that in a minute. But stay tuned for the par 3 challenge video, and we're going to do a podcast on that. That's the other thing. We want to do a little bit more of these lessons learned. So we're going to go out there, we're going to try things, we're going to talk about it. If you're new to the show, if you haven't, heard us talk about this before, Mike and me, we're not pros, we're not teaching professionals, we don't give lessons. We are, I would say, quintessential average golfers. We just love getting out there, playing the game and learning it. So as we learn things, we talk about them here. The hope being, if something worked for us, if something we picked up out there during our journey, having fun with and growing and, doing better and better with the game as we play more, if it helped us, hopefully it helps you guys. So playing the par 3, playing from the tips. There's certain things we learned being out there doing it, chat about it here. Hopefully it helps you guys. That's the formula.
Dude, by the way, I love that it's 9 p.m. and you're in the same outfit that you put on at 6 a.m. this morning.
Yeah.
I mean, hardest working guy in the business right here. He's got the outfit from Pound Ridge on. Still looking sharp. He's ready to play another 18, it looks like.
I could go right back out there.
He can. He's all ready for it. But
yeah, I left you at like 3 o'clock today. Drove home from Westchester. It was like an hour and a half. Get home. Well, first stop at my parents' house to pick up one of my kids.
You had the epic dad route. Yeah.
Stop at the school to pick up my other kid. Bring them both home. Find that outside the front door is my wife's new exercise bike. So I tried to like surprise her, and I put it all together before she got home, which, by the way, goes a little bit slower when you've got little helpers, if you know what I mean.
Yeah.
Like stuff just disappears.
Yeah.
I'm like, where'd those handlebars go? Anybody see it? And then all of a sudden one kid's got it on her head like a bull. And I'm like, okay, there they are. Put them all together, cook up some dinner, get the kids bathed, sit down, podcast. Dad life, man.
Dad life.
All right, I'll tell you what. I want to talk about this though, because we have so much to chat about. We were talking the whole time we were out there playing at Pound Ridge today, and different stuff that was like eye-opening and stuff we want to chat about that we learned. Before we do, let's do a quick word from our sponsors. Guys, the Titleist, the new T-Series irons represent an unbelievable amount of imagination, ingenuity, brilliance, and determination. And anybody you've seen who's touched these things, that's exactly what they're saying. We're getting actually a lot of DMs. People are just picked up the new T100s, T200s. So I can't wait to get my hands on them. But it's precisely what they were designed to do. It's just unlock these things within a player's game. The new Titleist T-Series irons provide a mix of performance and pure playability that lets golfers get it on the course just like never before. Visit Titleist.com to learn more about the new T-Series irons. And trust me, you guys are going to hear a lot more about them coming up real soon.
Yeah, dude. I'm laughing because I can't help myself but think, I'm seeing all the success people are having. I know Sprecher, we ran into him the other day, and he's got the new irons in his bag.
Yeah.
Right.
Yep.
And he's just saying how much like these little tweaks in your game they keep advancing you. And I just keep laughing about it. I'm like, how can you just get that much better and that much better and that much better? But we've seen it over the last year. Like we are. Every time we make this little like ball change and like club change and high change. So it does help. So.
Yeah, Spreck, I think, went with the T200s. And like I said before, he was a big reason why we went and got fit for the TS drivers, because he's like, guys, I'm getting it. You guys got to try it. Gave us the same line about these. So we're going to be down there trying them really soon.
Yeah, can't wait. So also want to thank ShotScope. Guys, the ShotScope V2, it's the world's smartest golf watch. We wear them every round. You see us on our wrist out there in every video. We rely on them. I mean, we use them every day on the course. Roughly 40,000 courses, over 100. I would say hundreds of stats, Frank. There's everything. Proximity to the hole, from greens and regulations, fairways, hits. What's your misses? What are your makes? What are you good at? Club usage, which I'm going to talk about in a little bit when we talk about playing from the tips, and so much more. I mean, it's eye-opening. You see your data right after the round. You go home, you load it up on the dashboard. You see everything that you want to see. How long was that boom that you hit?
I'm literally pulling up my stats right now.
I know. I want to ask you about one particular shot in a minute. But check it out. All the data of your golf game is right at your fingertips. Join the revolution. Go get yourself a ShotScope V2 for $159. Visit shotscope.com/Golficity. And with more than 60% of global tour players choosing FootJoy shoes, they continue to be the overwhelming leader in golf footwear. Guys, we've been wearing FootJoy for some time now. I want you to think about that statement for a second. More than half of tour players around the world wear FootJoy shoes. So I'm loving the Pro SLs. I know I wore those at the old course. That's episode 3 of Scotland. You'll see that in a few weeks. But I wore the Pro SLs. Love them. It's the hottest shoe in golf. Today, we both rocked those Furies, Frank. Amazing shoe. I mean, you could check out all the FootJoy styles, including the comfort of the Tour S, the styling of the FJ Icon, the Icon Black, the Dry Joys Tour. I mean, the number of others. It goes on and on. There's FJ shoes for every single player. Trust your game. Trust it to FootJoy, the number one shoe in golf. Shop now, footjoy.com.
No doubt about it. All right, let's talk about it. Do you want to set us up a little bit about what we did today?
All right, so we've been to Pound Ridge before. It's the Pete Dye course, the only public Pete Dye designed course in the state of New York, and it's a great course. It's actually one of the hardest course. And the stat you told me today was what was it? Top 10 future spots that a U.S. Open should be held at.
Yeah, it was. I think it was Golf Digest had ranked it as one of the top 10 spots to possibly host a U.S. Open.
And we definitely know that it can do that after playing today. So we challenged all 7,200 of Pound Ridge today, but we wanted to take it a step further and do match play because we both were going to be under this pressure. And we knew going into it. I mean, we played the course before. We knew how hard it was from the average tees that we usually play. But what's interesting is just the difference that the course played. And I know we're going to talk about this when we moved back. It wasn't just yardage. It was a whole lot more. So we did it when we went out there. We had fun, and we made a killer video, which will be coming out soon. And we had one winner.
We did. Because you know what? It wasn't just playing from the tips. Like, we had to have a little fun, so we did that match play. But as you're just talking about this, I'm just looking at some of, Pete Dye's courses, and my God, I mean, the names just go on and on. But for me, I think it was great to get to play two in the same year, and that's why I like having, the Ocean course.
Dye track. Yeah.
I mean, he's got Whistling Straits course. He's French Lick, TPC Sawgrass. I mean, the guy's a legend. But as you were saying, like, the tee boxes are something that really come into play here. And another thing too is going back to what you had said about it being a public course. That's something that I really commend, the whole Wang family on going with that decision. If you remember way back, I mean, we're going like 2 or 3 years ago, we had Mr. Wang on the show, who's the owner who worked with Pete Dye to design the course. And today we got to meet his son, Darren, who's there and working with the golf course now too. So it's a real family feel there. But this is a course that it's the caliber of something that could be private course. And on top of that, where it is, I mean, there's no denying it's an incredibly affluent area there in Westchester, Pound Ridge. You've got Danbury, Connecticut, Stamford, Connecticut, all right there. It's very accessible. It's accessible from New York City. They could very simply and very easily have made this a private club. So the fact that they kept it public and that anyone can come and play. It's not cheap, but it's not like the greens fees at like the Ocean course either. I mean, it's playable, especially if you play it during some of the off hours or the week or during the week. It's definitely playable. So I think that's terrific that the fact that you've got a Pete Dye design that is right here in New York and you can play it. So there, hat tip to those guys for keeping it as a public track. And I think that's a big part of the whole Wang family being very big golf fans. They're just fans of the game, and you sense that. But as we talked about before, we've played there before. The tee boxes there are very interesting. They're not just like some of the tee boxes you see at some golf courses where it's just they're in a straight line, and then just like they go back like you have your whites, your blues, and then maybe blacks or whatever it may be. Here, the tee boxes are in different places. There's different looks. Pete Dye really took his time strategizing where each tee box was going to go and different things that were going to come into play based on that.
Right.
And that's why they really harp on play the right tee boxes for your handicap. And it's got them right on there. There's the oak tee boxes, granite, black, and it says what handicap. And the starter will ask you what your handicap is so that you can make sure you're playing the right tees. And there's a reason for that. Pete Dye designed the course to challenge different level golfers in different ways. Once you move back to the tips like we did today, which we really had no business doing because those are for 0 to 3 handicap, but we wanted to prove the concept and understand why and talk about it here. Not only was there that length, Mike, but you saw a great example with 17 with that tree placement.
Yep.
It forces you, that caliber of golfer, to be able to hit different shot shapes.
Oh, yeah.
So in that particular case, you had to hit a fade around that tree. The tree was just blocking the fairway. Mm-hmm. So, and then there was other ones where you had to play a draw or whatever you had to do. So not only was it challenging your distance, it was challenging your shot shaping and ball striking ability. So Whereas some of the other tees, you may not have had that challenge, where if you're more of a mid handicapper and you just say, my shot shape is a draw, that's what I hit, I can't hit a fade, you could still work your way around that. This, it would be a little bit different. So I found that to be really interesting.
Yeah, I mean, I think that there might not be any better course for this challenge. I mean, other than maybe Bethpage Black, if we were going to do a match play from the tips to really experience that, like, quote unquote beast of a course.
Yeah.
But I still don't think it would have been as challenging as what we face today because of those tee box. I mean, it really made you think out there, and there were shots that I did not have in my bag. And, you know, I didn't want to be forced to club down because I don't have a draw with my driver. I had to use driver on that hole. I knew it. And I just had to muscle up and do it. And by the way, dude, you were hitting your driver incredibly today. I need to hear a couple of stats in a minute about, especially that one that we were so nervous about, that carry and you just bombed it. Do you have that one?
Which hole was that? Do you remember off the top of your head?
Yeah, it was right after the par 3 11th. So 12, I think.
12. Okay, so 12, that I ended up hitting 254. 254, it was all carry because if you remember where it landed, it kind of just stopped. So that
just stopped. But you know what, though? I mean, I think the carry was like,
225, right?
Yeah, but isn't that nuts? And like, it was a windy day. I mean, you know, so you had some elements swirling around you, and you put that thing so perfect. There was not a lot of room for error. It was such a good shot.
There wasn't, and that's what I want to talk about in a second too. Is about driving. I've luckily that area of my game was working because putting wasn't. And not only was I not putting well, and I know that's an area where I need to go back and work. I got to put some real grinding in on the putting. But also those Pete Dye greens were nothing to mess around with. I think one thing I would have changed, I would have loved to have a caddy out there with some local knowledge of those greens. That to me was a huge help when I played the Ocean course. Having the caddy and giving me the reads, because Pete Dye just has a way with those undulations to just really mess with you. And I ended up with a lot of 3 putts there, a lot of 3 putts that I think could have gone a little bit better. I could have saved a stroke or so, you know, by 2 putting some of them. I did save the best for last, but yeah, still.
Yeah, of course. You did save the best for last to beat me, which I will announce. You know, I will call it out because we went
to 18, though. It went all the way to 18.
We were all over Instagram. We broke the news already. So it isn't private. He did beat me, Frank. He did beat me. So good job there. But, you know, I was going to tell you this not to knock you, but, you know, and you just said it. So it's the truth. But today you were driving the ball like a 3 handicap and you were putting like my 6-year-old daughter.
I know. It was terrible. But here's one of the caveat to that.
At least you know what's wrong. So
yes, I know what to work on, but I also I like to think of it like this: you can't zoom in too far when you look at your stats and get blinders. Mm-hmm. I think it's easy to do. It's very easy to look at my putting stats and just say, "Whoa, that's a lot of 3 putts on the scorecard," which it is. However, there is always a little bit of a bigger picture to look at. That's why I'm a big advocate of keeping all of your stats and then looking into it. The other thing to look at, proximity to the hole, was way up. Okay, so I'm talking about 3 putts, sure, but a lot of my first putts were something like 50 feet or more.
Right.
And I think a big part of that was a function of playing the tips. We were going par 4s. I feel like almost every par 4 I was hitting into, even with hitting what I felt like for me personally were great drives. Right? I was averaging somewhere around 250 to 270 drives. For me, that's good, right? Yeah. Even with that, I was hitting hybrids and 5 irons towards greens on par 4s all day long. Mm-hmm. So I can't obviously put a hybrid from 220 nearly as tight as I would when I'm used to playing the tees a little bit further up. And if I'm playing a course that's 6,600 yards, 6,400 yards. I'm hitting more drivers, wedges, drivers, 8 irons, stuff like that. So my proximity is a lot tighter. This was like, I was just happy to be on the green somewhere, even if it was in a different zip code. So yeah, there were some 3 putts, but your first putt is 50 feet, right? I'm just happy to get it right now within 10 feet with the undulations that we were facing there. Then 10 feet, you don't make a lot of 10-footers, right? So it went to 3 putts like that. It happened very quickly.
And what you're still doing, which you probably don't recognize, but I think YouTube world as well as myself call you out all the time, is you still putting the ball off the toe. Always.
A little bit,
You're
yeah.
lining it up in the middle, and then at strike, you're striking it every time at the toe. So something you have to work on. Again, you need to work on it. It's just something.
Spreck gave me some drills for that, and I got to get like a little bit of a rope, and it's about staying on path. And again, anytime you have a swing change, you've got to get used to it. And I've got a putting change. Like he changed my putting stroke. If you saw that video from not too long ago, we did. So I believe in it. I believe it's a better stroke. It's just taking me time to get used to it.
Yeah, definitely. And back on the point you were saying, I mean, I agree, because my shot scope data, I just pulled it up right now. I'm looking at, they have a cool thing called club usage. You can actually see right there, percentage wise, how much you use each club in your bag.
Yeah.
And get this, 3-wood, 5%. My H21 hybrid, 2%. My H23, 0%. All right. So usual tees, like you just said, they're par fours, they're 330 to 380. Usually it's driver, 9-iron less to get home, right? Like you said. So the par threes, that's the opposite. They're all 7, 8s, and 9s from the normal tees, and wedges. Again, no long clubs. So today made me think about, what clubs do I really need in the bag for my game? Right. Because when I go back to play that, quote, my game, it's going to be moved up. It's going to be back to the 64, 63, 6,500 range. And I'm going to be going back to driver 9-iron. So do I even need those clubs I used today? I was hitting them terribly. I never hit them that much in game. I don't game them. I hit them on the range, but it's not the same.
Well, what would be the longest club you'd leave in your bag then? Aside from a driver, it would go driver, and then what's the gap? What's next?
I probably feel like all I would need is, I would need a 3-wood, for maybe that 5-iron to try to get home in 2 with a nice long drive. And then maybe no hybrids and just go like 4-iron up. Oh,
yeah. So that's still a lot of coverage.
Yeah, I think I'd be covered, but I don't need the 3-wood and then hybrid, 5-iron. Like, I'm not even using them.
No. So you're saying right now in your bag, you got 2 hybrids and then a 5-iron? Yeah. So one 3, basically, 4, 5, basically 3, 4, 5, or replacing a 5-wood with a hybrid. It's not a terrible decision, but it's going to have to depend on the length of the courses you're playing. Like today, obviously, as you said, they got a ton of use because the course was so long.
That's the beauty of having those in the arsenal if you're fortunate enough to have those bonus clubs.
I always love, and look, that's another thing we learned from Sprecher during our fitting. He's like, if you have the means to buy that one extra club, buy it, have that 15th club that you can kind of alternate based on the course you're playing that day. Just take it out of the bag. If you need a longer club, you put that in, you take one wedge out, or if you need vice versa. So, but, getting back to some of the lessons learned, and this is why I would say, maybe if you're very new to the game, 18 plus handicap, 20 handicap, it might not be a great experiment to try to play from the tips. But if you're kind of teetering on that edge where you're kind of moving towards single digits, maybe you're anywhere from that 10 to 12 or whatever, it wouldn't hurt to try one round of pushing yourself out of your comfort zone and try playing from the tips just to kind of get an idea and see some stuff you learn. Sometimes it's just getting those different looks that just kind of like make you realize different areas of your game where you need to work and improve. Where I'm never an advocate. I just know, and again, I don't want to knock anybody's way of doing things. If that's what you really want to do, then fine. But I know there's a lot of people out there who are those mid-level handicappers, and when they'll play a new course or a famous course, they want to, quote, see all of it, and they'll play from the tips. Personally, I think if you do that every time, you're just setting yourself up for a really long day. But again, that's just my own personal opinion. Going back to lessons learned, one thing I learned today, we talked about how important the short game is. Fine. I know it. We'll talk more about putting and everything like that. But wow, does driving become important when you start to play that long game? And for 2 reasons. One, whereas when we normally play our usual 6,400, 6,300 yard courses, there's always a couple of par 4s worked in where we don't have to hit driver off the tee. Right? You can hit less than driver. I've hit hybrid, hit 3-wood, whatever, if you want to do a little bit more placement. Here, there was not a par 4 that you were able to put the driver away. So every par 4 and every par 5, you hit driver more often. So that automatically leads to knowing how to hit it better. But the second thing I noticed today, and this is something I only noticed from going back there and playing them, is as you get further and further back, that fairway target just gets smaller and smaller.
Mm-hmm.
It's further away. I mean, there was at least a minimum of 3 holes where the carry, and a lot of times there's marshland carry, but the carry to reach the fairway from the tips was 225. And we were shooting it with the laser just to double check it, and it was right spot on. It was the same number. Pete must have loved that number, 225. So your target becomes so much further away, and it becomes smaller. So you have respect for the guys who are playing the game at the highest level, how accurate they do need to be with their driver. But also, and once you get inaccurate, you get penalized that much worse. If you've got a hole that's that long and you're going to have to hit these longer irons in, being off the fairway in the rough or further out or somehow like where you're in the tree line and you've got that to contend with only becomes more penalizing. So I found that very interesting, and it just showed why the driver is so important. If anything kept me in it today at all in our little match was my driving. I was driving the ball. I hit a lot more fairways even than usual.
That won it for you.
But I think part of the reason why I was doing well was I was so hyper focused on targets. Whereas other times I'll just kind of with my driver, pick a general line and just try to get it out there as far as I can to give myself that 8-iron or less in to a par 4.
Right.
Here, I was a little bit more focused on like that fairway looked like a much smaller target, and I was picking much narrower target lines and just trying to put the ball out there rather than trying to blast it, just kind of playing a little bit better tempo and that accuracy. So that was one big thing that I learned today. It was a huge takeaway for me.
Yeah, I mean, the most intimidating thing for me was those carries. I mean, again, good course designers are going to challenge good players. I mean, and we played the tees for the good players, and we got all of that challenge.
Yep.
So, I mean, it was a great experience. I mean, it's something I wouldn't do often, but like you said before, go out and step out of your comfort zone and try new things. And, I wouldn't do it on a course that would cost you a lot of money like this course.
Yeah.
We were fortunate enough to get the invite from Pound Ridge. And we appreciate it. Those guys are great. And if you're going to spend a lot of money, I would just play it regular. But if you're your Sunday round at your local track, your local $30 round or whatever the case may be, step back from the 62s to the 67s and just give it a go.
Yeah. Yeah. Try it. I mean, like I said, it's not something I would make a habit of, but you definitely learn a lot. Plus, again, we've said before, in order to hit certain clubs better, you have to hit them more often. I mean, a real place to do that is to go out on the range and do it. But if you want to be forced to hit certain clubs more, change the tee box. I mean, man, we're very comfortable hitting those 7 and 8 irons because we're used to hitting that into greens. We're a lot less comfortable hitting hybrids and 5 irons into greens, and that's what we were doing today.
Yeah, and I'm laughing because I can't count how many times that we would pull up to a tee box and you or I would be like, dude, we're back there. Like, keep going.
We were so far back on one hole that the people behind us were playing came up. Actually, no, they were playing where we cross over. They were playing like the 15th hole and we were playing the 9th, I think. Mm-hmm. And they cross over. They go, guys, like those, you're on the wrong tee boxes. Those are for the next hole. That's for the par 3.
Those are for us. Yeah.
And we're like, are you sure? And they're like, look at the direction. They were so far back. We were confused. We didn't even think they were associated with the same hole.
Yeah.
And they were. And they were.
And they were. And they were. Yeah. It just gives you an idea. It gives you an idea.
And it gives you a huge respect. It gives you a huge respect for anybody who's playing the game at that level that they're playing from back there.
Yeah, for sure.
Speaking of which, as we were out there, he saw our story, our buddy Gavin from ShotScope, who you guys, if you've been watching the Scotland series, have seen him make his appearances. Unbelievably terrific golfer. I mean, this is a guy who was on his way to the European tour. For his own personal reasons, he ended up backing away from the game in that regard. But I mean, hands down, one of the best golfers I've ever played with. We played at Kings Barnes with him, which you're going to see on the Scotland series.
This is my favorite story about Gavin. Go ahead.
Dude, this guy had 2 eagles in 6 holes and just missed an eagle putt on 9. I mean, if there's a guy who can boom a ball, and we were not playing it short.
We were not playing short, right.
I think I got to look at the number, but we were playing Kings Barnes somewhere around 6,700, 6,800. yards.
In probably a 20 to 22 mile per hour wind.
Right.
So,
and what he was just doing, just getting on these, I mean, he hits a big ball. Anyway, make a long story short, he messages us because he played a lot of he's, lives over in Scotland, but he played a lot of golf in the States. He played here in college and stuff like that. So he saw we were playing Pound Ridge. He's played Pound Ridge. He messaged us and he was saying how it was a beast from the tips. So for it to be a beast for him, then I already know, like, not for us,
Not exactly.
Yeah.
So Frank, what was your best hole of the day? If you had to pick one, I'll give you mine after you go. What would you say? What was your best?
I had two that I was really happy with. And what we said going into this, because of the distance, I felt like anything that was a bogey was a par. Anything that, that was a par was like making birdie. All right. Especially because the fact that a lot of the par fours we were playing are the normal distance we would play par fives, 470 plus. Right. But one I was very happy with, which was, I can't wait to put the video together for this because it just looks amazing on film. Even this was one of the tee boxes we stood back there and just laughed. We're like, this can't be the tee box.
Par three.
The par three, the sixth hole. So downhill, but it measured at 233. 233. So I pulled out the hybrid. I know, it's nuts. It was nuts. And a lot of these greens are not big. Now, when I say some of them had like a 50-foot putt, a lot of this structure was very similar to what we saw at Kiwa on the Ocean Course. A lot of narrow, longer greens. A great example of that is 15, which is the signature hole. It's super thin, but it's long. So you could still be a long way, but then there's other ways you could very easily miss the green. So this is the type of green that it was, as you're looking at it, it's a longer green, but it's narrow. It was only maybe 10 yards wide by, 20, 30 yards long. So you didn't have as much room to make a mistake left or right. You could go a little bit long or short. Anyway, I slowed everything down. I just figured I'm just going to keep a hybrid online. If it comes up short, so be it. If not, I can reach with a hybrid if I just keep it nice and straight. Hit my hybrid. According to ShotScope, 213 yards. Ended up putting it within 10 feet. Unfortunately, did miss the birdie putt. Maybe it was a little further, maybe 12 feet. Missed the birdie putt, made the par. So that one I was very happy with. The other one, I'm trying to remember what number it was. It was a par 5, Mike, that I parred. Actually, it might have been 9. It might have been 9 because 9 was the one, going back to where we were saying that. Yeah, 9 is the par 5.
9 is the par 5, yeah, up the hill.
So I was really happy with this because I hit a really great drive. I hit a 264 yard drive. That to me, that's a great number for me. I, however, messed up my next. No, I didn't. No, I did a placement 6-iron. I just placed it up there because I couldn't reach. Remember, this is the one I was like, I can't reach.
Yes.
I'm going to hit the 6. Now, looking at my ShotScope data, my 6-iron only went 100 yards.
Yeah, you flubbed it.
Right. I caught that one a little bit fat. So my game plan was to hit my 6-iron about 180 and leave myself a wedge in. But flubbed it. It only went 100 yards. Left me a long ways to go. I hit that hybrid again. Saved me again, that hybrid. It's ridiculous. Yes. I remember it was 200 uphill. So I hit it on the button, 198. Just pushed it a little bit right, caught the right side of the green, and 2-putt it for par.
Yeah.
So, and I that was when I threw a fist pump in, because I was psyched. I mean, to me, to play that hole that way, I mean, it was like, I think it was a 500 yard, par 5 with that straight off the carry. That was the exact hole we were laughing with the tee box. Guys thought we were on the wrong tee box.
Yes.
It was just right. Marshland for 225 yards. You had to carry all of it. Everything was narrow out there. All those fairways were narrow. I was really happy with myself. And the fact that I stuck with it after my game plan went a little bit awry by not hitting that 6-iron well, made up for it with the wedge. So that was a huge favorite for me.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, for me, it was that 15th.
I was going to guess you were 15.
That other tee box we were just talking about. I mean, that's their signature hole, the par 3 with the long, skinny green. Margin of error is like 0. I think you got like 20 feet in front, 20 feet in back of that green. You got marshland carry of 130 because the pin was at 144. Huge rock right behind the green. It's like a wall. It literally is a wall.
Where I feel like there's always a way you can miss on a hole. There was no way to miss on that hole because you normally you say, okay, well, I'm going to go up one club just to take all of that carry out of play. I don't want to come up short. If I come up short, I'm in the drop area. There goes this hole.
You really got to hit your number.
Right.
I mean, the bottom
because
line,
if you hit it long, you hit the face of that rock that's just sitting there. The hole behind the entire hole, there's no even area to chip, is a huge slate, like just rock face. Right. It's going to hit off that rock face and just shoot backwards towards you back into the penalty area.
Yeah. Yeah. So it's pretty intense. And like I just said, you need to hit your number. Let's just say it was a good outcome. I don't want to ruin this one. I'm going to let you guys wait because we got a couple of fun little gems we carved out of this hole we're going to put out there separately just to show you the outcome of this one. But it came down to putting for you and I in this one. This was a fun one.
Yeah. And my putting was just a disaster. It gets to that certain point too in the round where when you're not putting well and it starts to really get into your head and you start to like, I always use that analogy. It's like if you play baseball, right? And if you're pitching, the difference between just letting it go and then trying to steer it. When you can't find the strike zone when you're a pitcher and then you start to try to like just place it in the strike zone, you start to steer the ball a little bit more and it's a mess. That's what was happening to me. After a couple of holes of just like not quite getting it, the confidence went away. And then boom. But
how many putts did you have today? Do you know?
No, I don't know because I didn't sign off on my stats yet. I'm just looking at them now.
I feel like if your putting was working, if your putting was working, if you were able to shave like 3 to 5 strokes off your game just from putts, and you know the places where you could have done that, I am sure.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, and I even little things I witnessed from you, like remember you were in that little bunker and you just had a bad shot out of it. You know, I mean, there was a couple little mentals. Where I'm going with this is you could have played pretty damn well from the tips at Pound Ridge.
I think I could have and it shows you how much a good drive will save you.
Yeah,
it sets you up. The two clubs I could rely on today was driver and hybrid. Yeah. Hybrid was getting me on those long par threes. I used it on the other par 3 too that I hit that green. It was another 200 plus yard par 3. But putting. But here's the thing. You know that it's there. You have the ability. It's not like I have zero ability, but that's where you start to learn why does it come and go? The consistency. So I always looked at things like mental game. What was it today? Did it get in my head? I know the greens there are harder than here's a good example. When you and I just played Spook Rock, right? Yeah. We did alternate shot. My putting was on fire that day. All right. I was hitting pretty much everything from 5 feet. Now, the greens were not nearly as challenging as these Pete Dye greens were. I'll give you that. This had double, triple breakers, undulations, double tears, speed. I mean, there were some putts that you hit them wrong, it could roll off the green. I mean, it was wild in that regard. However, there's also that difference in confidence. Like when I had my confidence and all of a sudden it's like Jordan Spieth says, he's like, they said, what does it feel like when you're putting well? He's like, I feel like the cup is 3 feet wide. You just feel confident. But this is, I think, my biggest takeaway here from this whole day. The fact is we're always trying to chase better. We're always trying to get better at the game and all that type of stuff. And I don't think we always give ourselves enough credit and realize that the ability might be there. For example, there's days when I do putt well. So I know I can make it happen. But even within just the variation that happens in an 18-hole round like today, the fact that I was, and you too, had a couple good holes there. You had a couple pars. I had a couple pars. The fact that we could string together a good hole and make par from the tips shows that the ability is there. So the question then becomes, why is that not happening all the time? Why the variation? Does it come down to inconsistent ball striking? Does it come down to something with strategy? Inconsistent strategy or not following a game plan. I heard Ricky Fowler the other day on Instagram, it's just yesterday. Someone was talking about their season's wrapping up and he's like, what was the biggest takeaway for you this season? He's like, sticking to my game plan, no matter what happens. So is it that? Is it when things start to go a little bit bad, we change our strategy and we get out of our comfort zone too much? We try to make up for it, try to make up for a bad hole or a bad shot or a bad front nine and try to get it too aggressive. What is it? There's going to be something there. So I think it's more so it's like take as a confidence booster the fact that you did well. Instead of looking at all these holes that it played so poorly, look at the holes where I played well and say, what did I do there and how can I replicate it? Rather than always trying to say, what did I do poorly and what can I fix? If you're always like coming from this detriment standpoint where you're always trying to fix something, it adds a little bit of frustration. It makes things a little bit harder. But if you instead you say, okay, what did I do well and what can I do to make it happen more? Mm-hmm. And then plus you say, like, it's not like it's an insurmountable thing. The fact that you've done it, the fact that you've parred a 480-yard par 4, the fact that you had a birdie putt on a 230-yard par 3, say you're capable. Now, how do you make it so that happens more often? And that's what I want to kind of work on more.
There you go. I like it.
That's my big takeaway. Mm-hmm. But anyway, it was a great time out there. Huge thanks, as always, to the entire team at Pound Ridge. Always great, gracious hosts. And truth be told, we wanted to get back out there as soon as possible. It was since April that they were hitting us up and saying, guys, the course is in great condition. Want you to come out and give it a go and play it and want you to experience it. They know how much fun we had playing last year for their 10-year anniversary. So we were like, we're going to get this on the calendar one way or another. Right. I know we leaked into August, but hey, I mean, the course is in prime shape. Everything was grown in. It looked lush. It was perfect. So we always appreciate that. And yeah, that's everything I have. Mike, how about yourself?
Dude, I think it's time to get to bed. It was a long day.
You think I should actually get changed out of these clothes now?
Why don't you get changed? You go take care of that. We had a long day in the car. We had a long day driving. We had a long day driving to the holes from the tee boxes because they were super long. The whole day was long, but it was fun. Love it. Can't wait to go back next year, man.
And made me laugh because how about all those walks when you get out at the cart path stops and then you got to walk like 30 yards back to the tee box.
Don't forget a tee. Don't forget. Exactly.
So listen, if any of you guys out there have tried this, if you've ever pushed yourself outside your comfort zone and played, from the further tee boxes, the back tees or whatever, what was your experience? Let us know. Post it in the comments below if you're watching this on YouTube. Post it in the Facebook group. Love to hear it. Love to hear some stories. There are some courses out there that are insane. Speaking of the Ocean course, they can tip that place out at 8,000 yards. Which is just mind blowing to me.
That's nuts.
But distance isn't always everything. That's a conversation for another day. I mean, we played some courses in Scotland that would just eat you up, and they are nowhere near that distance. There's a lot of ways to make a golf course hard, but in this case, it just made it very interesting. Like I said, hitting longer clubs into greens and seeing what that does for your golf game. So I want to hear your guys' experience too. Make sure you let us know. You can also get us individually. I'm at Frank Fasano Jr. on Twitter and on Instagram. Mike is at Mike Faz, the number 4 on both platforms as well. You can always get us individually. So we love chatting about it. So hit us up. All right, guys, that's everything we have for you. You can get to the show notes by going to golficity.com/episode 285, or all of your show notes are, as always, in the free Golficity app. You can download it by going to golficity.com/app, and we'll see you guys next week.